What's going on, you guys? Slim here to bring you guys my updated Guru Control Dragoon deck profile for this October 2020 format. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You'll also be notified when I stream over on Twitch. Link is in the description. As always, if you want to purchase any of these cards to build this deck yourself, please use my TCG Player link in the description below. A portion of what you spend goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. And last but not least, if you want to further support me in the channel, consider joining my Patreon. Links in the description. 4 different tiers, nothing over $10. Awesome rewards and access to a lot of extra videos and content you won't find here on the channel. As always, the side deck for this deck will be over on Patreon, so if you guys are members, you will be able to see that as soon as this video gets posted. Anyways, before I get into this, you guys already know Guru Dragoon. We've already seen it everywhere, but I want to give a huge shout out to my boy Christian Forsman. I talked to him. He's one of the main Guru players that I look up to. I get a lot of my insight, a lot of my knowledge about the deck from him, as well as many other players in the Subterra group on Facebook, so shout out to them. And I talked to him about this deck, and what I did is after he got his last top at the LCS 6, I decided to try out his deck, and it's just been the best deck. There has been the best build of the deck. There is no substitute for what he's put forward with this deck, and I really like his ratios. I like his decision trees, and the only thing I did to this deck was I changed the extra deck a little bit. I think that his deck did not get enough attention. I feel that Guru Control really doesn't get a lot of attention, because you have the players who can't stand the deck, as well as the players who just don't give the deck the time of day because it's rogue. And you guys already know I used to hate this deck. It became one of my favorite decks, so it's a pretty crazy story, but I want to give him a huge shout out as this is his deck outside of the extra deck, which I will explain. I changed the extra deck to my personal liking, so hopefully you guys do enjoy. Smash that like button as always, and hopefully this will give you guys some insight if you do want to pick up this deck. For as long as we can play Dragoon, I feel this is like the craziest way you can play Dragoon, so we'll get into it. For the Subterra engine, it's very, very standard. I'm not going to explain any of this because you guys have already seen all these cards before, but of course, triple Guru, triple Fiendus, and the 1 copy of Nemesis Archer. We're not playing New Matrix. One thing that Christian did mention and did say, like in profiles he's done before, Dragoon basically took the place of New Matrix. New Matrix was like kind of like your beater monster, your big monster that can get rid of problematic cards. Dragoon just does it better. There's no denying. Dragoon just literally does it better. It burns, it gets rid of problematic cards, and it has a negate on top of it. Like, this card is just insane. Like, I don't think they ever should have printed it, but the rest of the Subterra monsters are just standard. You want to play them all. That's it for that. And then of course, in order to play Dragoon, you guys already know you have to play the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense, as well as the ferocious dragon with the deadly attack. They're just necessary. They are bricks, they are vanillas, but hey, you know, you got to do what you got to do with them, so they're in there for that reason. Now, the hand traps was the most interesting thing, and this is what I talked to him about, because I felt that his hand trap ratio was different than what a lot of people played, where there was the standard cards of Ash and Infirm. This is standard, don't need to explain this. Obviously, these are just generic cards. You're going to catch a lot of cards with Ash, Blossom, and Infirm. It's just one of the best cards in the game, like, I'm not going to deny that. But his other choices are what really stood out to me, and I was because I didn't really see too many players, you know, trying to deviate away from like cards like Gamma. Some people were even trying Droll, and a personal thing is that I do not like Droll in the main deck of this deck, because Guru Control, even with Dragoon, cannot really effectively kill you. And I say that because even when Guru first came out before Dragoon, Droll was a card that, yes, you could end your opponent's turn, but what is Guru really doing that's going to OTK? They're not really doing anything. Now, while Final Battle can boost your Guru up pretty high, a lot of times it's not enough to end the game. So for that reason, I feel that main decking Droll in this deck is actually incorrect, but I really did like the choices he did make. So what he did add was the 2 copies of Ogre and the 2 copies of Veiler. So what I like about this, on top of the fact that we are playing 10 hand traps in the main deck in a 42 card deck, which is awesome, very good ratios, Ogre is very strong for a lot of reasons. Now, I've given Ogre kind of a good rap, bad rap, it just really depends on the matchup. It's very good up against Infernoble Knights, which is something he always mentions. It's also just good at catching problematic cards, because yes, it doesn't negate their effect, but it does get them off the board, and I think not enough people realize how important that is. The fact that you can Ogre cards like Ogre, the Holly Fibrax, Ogre, the Isolde. There's so many things you can do to just stop your opponent's combos, and getting the monster off the board is huge, and sometimes effects will not activate. The card is no longer on the field, so Ogre is very strong, and Veiler goes in tandem with the Impermanence. It's just a generic negate, very good against Verte Anaconda, because you can't Ash the Verte, but you are able to Imperm and Veiler the Verte, so if you do play against a deck that is trying to bring out Dragoon, you have answers to it. So I really, really like this hand trap ratio, and that was the thing, is I tested a lot of ratios myself, and I I wasn't getting there. I wasn't drawing enough hand traps, or the hand traps I was drawing were just kind of mediocre. I tried Nibiru in the main deck. I of course tried Gamma and Driver in the main deck. I tried so many different cards, and then when I saw like his success with this deck, I said, okay, let me see how this works. And it just really showed, just like it was consistent. Even at 42 cards, you were still not drawing like crazy clunky hands, and you were still having hand traps plus Guru plus Dragoon, and that's how the deck really wants to flow. That's it for the monsters. Spells are very standard, of course. Triple Hidden City, triple Pot of Extrav. I mean, what more can I say? And of course, triple Red Eyes Fusion. These are just all standard. You max these out. These cards are crazy. Obviously, if you hard draw Red Eyes Fusion, you want to go for it, because very rarely will you make Verde. We do play one copy in the extra deck, but normally you're just trying to hard draw the Red Eyes Fusion. I don't like the Insight package. I feel it's very bricky. I know a lot of people like it, but it's just, to me, it's very bricky and unnecessary in this deck. The thing that he also included in this deck that I believe is the reason why the deck was 42 cards instead of 40, he chose to play 2 copies of Pot of Duality, and this was something that we talked about as well. So people are wondering, why would you play Duality in this deck when your goal is to summon Dragoon? People forget that you're not always going to summon Dragoon. You're not always going to open that amazing hand. This deck used to be a deck that played 2, sometimes even 3 copies of Duality, and this is a deck that can play Duality because you're not really special summoning at all. You're not even playing New Matrix in this build. Duality is that card that lets you see more cards in your deck, and at worst, if you do draw Duality with Red Eyes Fusion, which is something he did mention, you are able to use the Duality as your discard for the negated Dragoon. So the cards actually do not conflict as much as people think. So I think that it's a very strong card, and while it does bring the deck up count up to 42, I'd rather play a card like this that lets me see more cards, and it gives me a choice. Duality lets me see 3 new cards and then pick the one that I need that's most optimal for the situation. So I personally really like that, and I highly suggest you don't sleep on this card and give it another chance. This card was always a staple in Guru control, and even with Dragoon, it's still going to be a card. And I can guarantee when Dragoon inevitably does get hit, we're going to be playing Duality again unless we go back to the Numeron build. So definitely don't sleep on Duality. I really like that. And then, of course, our 4th copy of Hidden City. The traps, again, very standard. Triple copies of Judgment. This card literally just says no. His also thing that he preaches for a lot is 3 copies of Final Battle. In a lot of my builds, I have ran 2. I think it was always a space issue. And he put a really good post in the Subterra group that you guys should read if you are members of that group on his choice to play this card at 3. This is a card you really do want to hard open. You really don't want to search it. The only thing that's bad about this card is if you draw it without Guru. Of course, there's no synergy. But again, it can be a discard for Red Eyes Dragoon at worst. But this card is so strong. It has 4 effects. You can use multiple in a turn. It's ridiculous. By maxing out on it, you usually will open it. So if you open Guru, Hidden City, or Hidden City plus Final Battle, you're getting to your Guru, you're getting to your Fiendus, and you basically get the lock, that 4-card lock that you need for the Guru portion of the deck. So I really, really like that. Then probably the best trap in the deck is There Can Only Be One, because this card literally just destroys the meta. What more can I say? It literally destroys the meta. So card is absolutely insane. Dragoon backed with There Can Only Be One is game 90% of the time. Like, to be honest, I don't see how most decks out it. And then I really like the fact that he is playing this in the main deck. I really like this card in a lot of decks right now. I'm trying it out in Dogmatica Invoked. I'm trying it out in a lot of my decks. I think it's amazing in this deck. This card can out Dragoon, which by itself is worth its weight in gold. It's also just really good against decks like Dinosaur and other decks in the format. The fact that you can take cards, banish cards, is absolutely ridiculous. I think this card is, like, there's a reason why this card shot up to the price it did, but huge fan of Ice Dragon's Prison. But that in total is the main deck, 42 cards. Extra deck, really quick for you guys. Now, again, my extra deck is very different than his. I really liked his extra deck. I liked his reasoning. I just like to play kind of like a utility box of mine, so I'll explain. The things that are the same, of course, Triple Dragoon, you're playing extra, you have to play it. Something he didn't play, I was a little surprised, but I personally really like it, is the 3 copies of Elder Entity. I still respect Dogmatica. As a Dogmatica player myself, I respect the deck. This just gives you extra pops. It just gives you utility. And something I'm trying that you guys will see over on Patreon, but you guys will get kind of a sneak peek of what's in my side deck right now. I am playing two different targets for Waking the Dragon. Now, you can also have Dragoon as a Waking the Dragon target, so there's a lot of options, but both of these cards are ridiculous. Both of these cards literally say no to your opponent, so I figured these are the best ones. If I had more copies, I'd probably play more copies, but I wanted to have room for more utility links, and I wanted to max out Entis because I really value that card. Waking the Dragon is ridiculous. Everyone's playing Duster, everyone's playing Lightning Storm. They get rid of my Waking the Dragon. I'm summoning one of these guys, usually Last Warrior, and it's game. So these cards have been crazy. I highly suggest you guys try out Waking the Dragon. You guys will see over on Patreon that's in my side deck. It's just something I'm testing. I wanted to, change my ratios. And then I am playing this engine. the Makaba and the Nova, again for Dogmatica. They make me send 2 cards. I'm sending Entis and I'm sending Nova. I'm summoning Makaba as a Disrupt, Entis as a Destruction, and it's just insane. This is just how I play this game. You guys know I respect Dogmatica. I put it in all my decks, so no difference here. If I banish them off extra, oh well, they're just in there. That's usually what the extra deck does. And then the rest is just all utility. So I am playing the 3-link ones. These 3-link ones are very important because this can be taken with the Dinosaur token. You can just make this if your opponent plays sloppy. And then the Link Spider is also for something else we play in the extra deck, which I'll explain over on Patreon. It's a way to help you get into a very easy way to get to Verde Anaconda, so it's very important that you play the 3-link ones because of the vanilla monster. And then of course the Predaplant, Verde Anaconda. It doesn't come up as much in this deck, but if you do get to 2 monsters, you can make it, and then summon Red Eyes, it's great. And then the last card is just the Unicorn because it does come up in certain situations. So that's it for the extra deck, you guys, and that is the whole deck. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, shout out to my boy Christian Forsman. I really appreciate his dedication to the deck and a lot of the just insight he's put into it. I think this deck is very strong. It may not be one of the best decks of the format, but I think it's a deck that people should stop sleeping on. Like, Guru is annoying to play against. Like, let's face it, that was the reason I didn't like the deck in the first place. And, you know, obviously through testing, through learning how to play against the deck, learning its weaknesses, learning its strengths, you come to appreciate a deck like this because the deck is like an old school like control deck that literally just can just control the entire game, and I really like that about this deck. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Definitely check out Christian Forsman's profiles on YouTube. You guys will learn a lot from him, as I did, and I think you guys will really come to appreciate a deck like this. But that's all I have to say, you guys. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.